So, hi, I was led to believe that there was going to be Boba Fett in your Boba Fett show, correct? Hello? Hello? Hello?
I really hate that man.
You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Do or do not. There is no try.
You know, if this was 7 or 8 years ago, this episode might have blown my mind. Would I be putting up crying emojis on Twitter like the weirdos are doing? No, probably not, because I'm a man. But if I got something like this pre-Last Jedi, I might have felt a bit more optimistic about the future of Star Wars. But it is coming after The Last Jedi, and knowing what Luke ends up becoming in that movie makes all of this seem less and less important. Because we are now getting Jedi Luke, it's supposed to make us forget how you treated him in the past. If you cared that much about giving Luke a proper reintroduction, why didn't you do that in the first place? Instead of letting some round-headed idiot shit all over the character. Maybe it's because all of this is reactionary. Luke only exists in this show because Lucasfilm is trying to cover for their incompetence. And for that reason, all of this feels too little too late to me, and more like a desperate move to get people interested in Star Wars again.
That makes sense.
And I'm sorry, I'm just too enlightened to fall for that. And then I have to ask the question, why wasn't all this covered in The Mandalorian Season 3? Unless, of course, that season is never going to happen. This feels like they were in the middle of making the Book of Boba Fett and realized that The Mandalorian Season 3 might not be happening, so they decided to try to wrap up that storyline in the middle of a Boba Fett show. Because let's be honest, none of this has anything to do with Boba Fett or what's going on Tatooine. But people don't see that. They just see Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka and Grogu, and all of a sudden it's crying emojis and shut up and take my money.
Why do you cry?
Does it not matter that this feels out of place with the story that they are trying to currently tell? Apparently not. Now, if you put all of that aside and try to watch this episode for what it is very clearly an attempt at fan service. But wait a minute, I thought the fans didn't matter. Let the past die, kill it if you have to, right? Unless, of course, Lucasfilm came to the realization that they need those legacy characters and those old fans to make their company profitable.
No shit.
This episode reintroduces us to Josh Duhamel's sheriff character, who is resisting the Syndicate's efforts to try to run spices through his territory. He even tells the Syndicate members to think it through before testing him, something that the showrunners clearly have not done. I realize that this show is going for the Western vibe, but it's starting to feel like they're leaning into those tropes a bit too much. It's like I'm watching a straight-up Western sometimes, and not Star Wars. You have to find balance when blending genres like that, and I'm not sure that they've done that.
Put some effort into it!
And then we find Mando, who is following a beacon sent out from R2-D2 so he can find Luke and Grogu. Mando instead initially finds robots building a new Jedi temple, and he is forced to wait. Meanwhile, Luke is off training Grogu in the forest somewhere, but Grogu seems a bit distracted.
So I strongly suggest that you wake the fuck up.
I will say this, I think the CGI used to create young Luke is much better here than it was at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. It does look much cleaner, but there is still something that's a bit weird about it to me. I'm not sure the de-aging technology has fully been perfected yet, but they're on the right track, I think. Luke tells Grogu about Yoda and asks Grogu if he knows where he came from. Luke helps him remember his past, and this is where we get a prequel-era Order 66 flashback. It's amazing to me that they're now using original trilogy and prequel trilogy stuff when they couldn't be bothered with it before. It's pretty convenient, isn't it?
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
Meanwhile, Ahsoka shows up and tries to convince Mando that him seeing Grogu will only further distract the little guy. Mando begrudgingly agrees and asks Ahsoka to give Grogu the gift that he brought him. Because attachments are not good for a Jedi, of course. This is where we get a lot of Luke training Grogu, and a lot of references to the original trilogy, and specifically The Empire Strikes Back, that are supposed to inspire a nostalgic feeling in everyone.
Here I come. Oh, here I come.
Ahsoka eventually tells Luke about the gift that Mando left for Grogu, and Luke begins to question whether or not Grogu's heart is in training to be a Jedi. And Luke, of course, asks Ahsoka what he should do. Ahsoka just tells him to trust his instincts, and she eventually leaves. So Luke is clearly still not 100% sure about all this Jedi Master stuff. Great, because God forbid we make him look too confident or too optimistic in this show.
Son of a bitch.
Luke should already see what's happening here, just like everyone watching this show sees what's happening here. But more on that in a moment. Mando returns to Jabba's palace and informs Fennec, who is holding a war strategy meeting, that he will find foot soldiers for the impending war with the Syndicate. Boba Fett is in this scene and he says absolutely nothing, which is probably the most Boba Fett thing he's done in this entire show. Now if we could just get him to put his helmet on and leave it on, we'd be getting somewhere.
Fuck me, right?
Mando approaches Josh Duhamel's sheriff character to get his people to help them in the impending war with the Syndicate. His whole selling point is that the Syndicate will one day disrupt his territory like they are disrupting the rest of the planet. The sheriff is hesitant at first, but eventually says, "I'll see what I can do." After Mando leaves, the sheriff sees someone approaching through the desert on foot. This individual is eventually revealed to be bounty hunter Cad Bane.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Who has been operating since before the Clone Wars and actually has connections to Boba Fett's dad, Jango. Bane has also met Boba Fett in the past, so they are familiar with each other. Bane reveals himself to be hired muscle of the Syndicate and eventually kills the sheriff. This happens after a good old-fashioned Western stare down and drawl. Clearly Bane has some kind of animosity towards Boba Fett, for Boba Fett, I guess, working with the Empire at one point. If this is coming down to a confrontation between Bane and Boba Fett, then I have to say, based on how Boba Fett is portrayed in this show, he's screwed. Because let's face it, he's pretty much a loser in this show.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
The episode ends with Luke giving Grogu a choice between Yoda's lightsaber and Mando's armor. His choice is left as a cliffhanger, but if I had to bet, I would say he will most likely choose the armor. Because this would be the way that they could bring Luke into the conflict on Tatooine when he tries to deliver Grogu back to Mando. And of course, more crying emojis will be used as the most predictable cliffhanger is resolved.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
Like I already said, if this was shown to me during a different time, this episode might have done something for me. But to me, you need to do more than legacy characters, an original trilogy or prequel trilogy references to make me forget about the damage that you've already done to this franchise. This is now a Boba Fett show without Boba Fett for 2 straight episodes. Because of all this, that's why I'm going to give Chapter 6, The Careless, Sam Gerard.
I don't care!
So have you seen Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett? If you have, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.